gymnastics. As far as the rest of them did, what I did was I intimidated a lot of people because I didn't give a fuck.
Big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold and rubber band wrap.
Then again, I probably did have to lie because I'm not going to wrestle for it.
Hold your camera sideways. Can you do? No.
Hey, can you?
What is wrong with you?
Can you put a mask on like
you can't? You can't make it. It didn't flip. Are you using your phone? I can't hear you either. You got volume? We're recording. I can't hear a word you're saying. Can you hear us?
This thing on?
Hold on. I can't hear anything you're saying. Check your
Can you hear me now?
I can
Hey,
now. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess I just can't use my AirPods.
fucking Top Gun. It's like
Top Gun without a mask, everybody.
It's like Excalibur without his goddamn mask. We got Top Gun without his fucking mask.
Hey, we're recording too, by the way.
He might start knee lifting everybody.
Are we?
I hope nobody watching this finds out who you are.
Working fucking twice. And all I heard today was Vaughn Lilas bitching that he wasn't there.
We are here at Lila Studios, live and in person, with interview number. What interview is this? 13? I think you're lucky number 13, man.
That's not good.
Adam, Top Gun.
Oh, Top
Oh,
Gun.
sorry. I'll edit that out. Don't worry. Adam.
Oh, you never edit
Parsons,
out
not Top Gun. Allegedly Top Gun.
Have you got them birds?
What's up, man?
Birds outside.
What's up?
Poop on the car all the time.
Maybe. I got that squeaky table still. I'm waiting on Rip to get some WD-40 to get rid of the squeaks. Hey, are you subscribed to our show? That's our first question that we always ask. Actually, I've never asked that, but have you subscribed to our show?
Yes, I have.
Did they ask that pertinent information?
Rip is still not a subscriber.
No, because they want all that fucking pertinent information. So I ain't going to give it to them because they already stole that money out of my bank account before. I don't think they was from America. They think it was.
Do you ever watch the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever watched any interviews that we've done?
Yes.
Okay, we don't do any research. I don't know.
Research.
I don't have any questions planned out. You're going to have to be a talker. You're going to have to be able to talk.
Well, you won't be able to shut him up.
You're going to have to lead this whole thing. I don't know anything about you, really, to be honest. Rip doesn't really talk when we get on these things. He just sits here. So really, it's going to be
I have a Coke and
the Adam Parsons show for the next 40 minutes. So take it away.
I got a strong back, so I can carry both of you.
Hey, speaking of, man, I'm really kind of pissed off. I hear you had this show last night or one night at the fairgrounds that I didn't get booked on because I came there last time and beat the holy hell out of you, and then I don't get booked on the next show.
You said fuck his knee lift.
Yeah, I did. Fuck his knee lift. I'm pissed. I'm officially pissed off. I want answers, man. I want answers. I want to know what's going on here.
I didn't want you to drive all the way from Indianapolis by yourself, so I didn't book you.
I would have brought Rip. What do you mean?
Well, I wasn't paying for Rip.
You didn't have to. Rip's too expensive. Is that what happened?
If I would have known that, I wouldn't have paid him last year.
So you're too expensive. So that's the reason we're not on here. You cost too much money.
Yeah, put the heat on me.
That's what he just said.
Hey, you got that Robert Gibson mentality.
What's that?
I said you got that Robert Gibson mentality. You just cost too much money.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck, you gave goddamn fucking Luke, how old was Luke? Was he 77?
I thought he said he was 73, but he might be older than that.
So you ask him how old he is? That was your first question? Hey, Luke, how old are you? Is that your first question you ask him?
Right off the bat, as soon as I saw him at the airport.
So how was the show, man? Was it at the same place that I was at, or was it a different place?
Same place, and it stopped raining about 3:00. Towards the end, there was almost 400 people there, and there was only like 520 people at the fair. So They were pretty happy. Well, it's probably because you weren't there.
He made a lot of money because you wasn't there.
I'll tell you what it was, is everybody was coming this year because they heard about me last year, and everybody came now this year. The whole town came to see me, and then I wasn't booked. So now everybody left disappointed, I'm sure.
Was that Grafton, West Virginia?
Grafton. Yep.
That's one of the greatest cards in many
Can you
months.
sit up here a little bit toward the
Well, I
microphone?
got a fucking pee, so I'm sort
Well, you were supposed to go pee when I was
know, but
gone. What did you do the whole
go in there
time?
and it hurt my knees, and I had to get up, and I got to get back in here in this stupid chair. You got me a pillow, but it's like lopsided.
So it was
And it hurts
you.
my hemorrhoid.
It was you and the Bushwhacker against the Outrunners. Is that right?
That's it. Yep.
Who won that match?
Oh, well, who
Bushwhacker or Luke?
Outrunners, man. I've been challenging the Outrunners now for months for those OVW tag titles. They've been ducking me for many months now. I can't get them. I can't get a match with them, man. How did you pull it off? You just paid him a lot of money?
That's it. You just got to pay him more money. That's what you got to do. Well, hell, they don't want to wrestle you. You beat John Cena.
I did beat John Cena. That's true.
You beat me too.
I put Rip Rogers out of wrestling.
Business.
He's never wrestled since our match. We just had an email today. Somebody asking if I had that on tape. They want to see me and Rip's match where I ended his career, and I do have it on tape. Would you like to see that?
I would like to see it. Couldn't follow that. After you lose to Von Lilas, you just have to retire.
I'm just thinking how much money you make because you just paid fucking Luke. You said, fuck everybody else. I'll just work 8 times as Top Gun with the hood, without the hood, with the mask, without the mask, incognito, not incognito. He's just going to work every fuck. It's like Bobby Fulton. Him and his brother be 12 different characters.
Have you ever lost a match?
Yeah.
He don't do jobs.
Name one match you've ever lost.
I lost to Ethan Wright. I've lost to Manny Fernandez. I've lost to a lot of people.
I don't believe it. I've never seen it. Never seen you lose a match. Never seen you lose one match.
No, he's too busy being
okay.
Do you have those on tape?
I have them on tape. I'll send them to you.
How old are you?
26.
26.
Well, he turned 26.
He's in the prime. He's in the prime of life, baby.
I know. Well, look at him. He's got
my goodness
in his head. He's almost complete. He's got less hair than I do.
Oh,
and he's 26.
That's because I gotta pull back. I gotta man.
No, you got a goddamn fucking Snabbits that's fucking pulled back all the way. At least Linus wears a goddamn hat.
Yeah, everywhere I go, man. Yeah, gotta wear the hat, man.
Yeah,
but I'm 48 at least. You know, or I was 26. I was looking good, man. Oh hell yeah. Looked real good. I didn't even start wrestling until I was 27, I don't think.
No, you was wrestling.
No, I wasn't. Well, I did a couple of those armory shows where you just put me in there to get killed, but I didn't really wrestle.
I just laughed.
Speaking of wrestling, we're a wrestling show that doesn't talk a lot about wrestling, but we'll get into it. So
we don't talk about wrestling at all.
When did you get into wrestling? Tell us a little backstory. Getting into wrestling, were you trained? Was it your dad that trained you? What?
Well, I mean, I've been in wrestling my whole life. Just growing up around shows. I got trained. I played college football for 2 years, got hurt. That would have been, I was probably, why?
As Ernie Ladd would say, you're not mentally tough, son. You're not mentally tough.
I was 20, probably 19 or 20. Ricky Morton trained me.
Oh, really? Yeah. Just kind of assume
you probably can't tell.
No, you're right. I couldn't. You don't like to fucking sell. All he wants to do is hit people with the needle.
Oh yeah, he didn't sell any of my shit.
And wear that fucking mask.
Yeah.
Thinking Top Gun is over. Fuck, that's gimmick infringement. Fucking David Sierra's goddamn Top Gun, and all of a sudden you're Top Gun.
Yeah.
Did you buy rights to that? Or
yeah, we're turning you.
I did.
So 20, you were training. Where'd you train at?
Chucky, Tennessee, is where Ricky's school is.
Where were you born?
When was I born, or
where were you born?
Parkersburg, West Virginia.
You live there now?
I live right outside of Parkersburg now.
So what was your what's your affiliation then with Rip? I really don't even know. So your dad was in wrestling. He was a wrestler, right? He wrestled.
Yeah, he wrestled for about 21 years.
I looked up some old stuff the first time we came and met you guys and worked with you guys. So where was he at for most of the time? Was he in the territories? Did he stay in the same territory? Did he travel a lot? Where was your dad most of the time?
So my dad had already had like 3 or 4 knee surgeries by the time he graduated high school. So he went up to the Sheik, and Al Costello stretched his ass, and then he came back home basically seeing if he wanted to be a wrestler. He came back home. Someone told him about the Poffos, He went down and met Angelo Poffo once. Then kids got in the way, so that was kind of derailed that. And then about that time, he started promoting. So after about 1981 or 1982, he started promoting his own shows on the weekends, and had a job and raised kids.
That was it. So your dad, Rock Parsons, was that always his like wrestling name?
At first, it was Rocky Cavaletti, and then he wrestled his hometown and didn't want to wrestle as Rocky Cavaletti, so he wrestled as Rock Parsons, and it just stuck.
So do you remember going to shows? Did you go to all the shows as a kid then, like that he was running?
Well, yeah. I've only seen him wrestle once. I'm the youngest of 5, and my parents they're the same age. They were 35 when they had me. So my dad stopped wrestling. He's probably, I'm trying to think. I was probably just barely remembering him being in the ring by the time he was done. So, but yeah, I was at all the shows growing up as a kid.
You're the youngest of 5?
Yep.
Boys, girls, brothers, sisters?
Oldest one is a girl, boy, girl, then me.
Were they are they or were they in wrestling?
Nope. The next oldest boy above me, Michael, is cameraman, edits all of our footage, does all the behind the scenes stuff. But I was the only one that took interest in being a wrestler.
Oh, did you hear that, Rip? They have an editor. They have people that help out, cameraman, editor, things like that.
Well, they do a lot of content.
Well.
Well, what's that mean? You're just lazy.
Rip doesn't do anything.
242 new shows we've produced since March, I think. So
now, how do you get so go into that, because you were on what was it, Roku? That channel doesn't exist anymore, right? The one that I originally like. Tell us all about that shit, because I need caught up on that personally anyway.
All right, so we got with Jerry Jarrett and did a Roku channel in 2018. We started, it was called Jarrett Parsons Wrestling. Free channel. Basically, it was just commercials was the only way to make money off of it. After that, we went to, got on Fire Stick, and then maybe it was just Roku and Fire Stick. And the people who were providing the bandwidth for us to be on those all of a sudden went from charging us $100 a month, let's say, to now all of a sudden it's $1,200 a month.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that was like a huge, like, okay, now what the hell do we do? So we ended up going with this streaming company called StreamGo Media. StreamGo has probably 20 to 25 Roku apps that they run. And they have the rights to like 100,000 movies, and they could provide the bandwidth. So much cheaper situation. They're not going to charge us for the bandwidth. They just want our content to produce a streaming channel. So it's called Wrestling Legends Network. It's on Roku. It's on Fire Stick. You can get it on Android or your iPhone. It's $3.99 a month. So you're looking at $1 a week, 13 cents a day. And right now, I think it's almost over 2,500 hours of wrestling from the 50s. And there's actually current day wrestling on there. And on top of that, we're now on Tubi, which is a free streaming channel. Some of our titles are on Tubi. We're on Plex. Some of our stuff's on Plex. And then we have a syndicated show it's a 30-minute show called Classic All-Star Wrestling. It just covers classic matches. Usually get 2 matches in an interview, or maybe if the match is long enough, it might take up the whole entire time. That's on 108 stations that I cannot name all of them. It's on Fight TV. It's on the Fight Network, which is in Canada. It's on NESN, which is the biggest sports channel in the Northeast. And as of right now, it's getting about 147 phones ringing. As of right now, it's getting about 147,000 views a week on TV, which is kicking the shit out of Impact Wrestling and MLW as far as ratings go. So it's doing pretty well. Roku channel, it's going to come off of television now, though. The Roku channel liked it so well, they're going to finance it and take it exclusively for season 3. So we're pretty excited about that.
So to still be on Roku, is that the what name will that be under? Is that Wrestling Legends Network?
That's Wrestling Legends Network, yeah, on Roku. And then you can go through, obviously on your Roku, you can get the Tubi and Plex, and then our stuff's on Tubi and Plex as well.
How do you spell Tubi? Is that Tubi? What's Tubi?
Tubi.
TUBI. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So, do you get I mean, if we can ask this, you can always not answer any question you don't want to. How do you get paid? How do you make money? Is it advertisement? Do they pay you to be on the platform? Do you pay to be on the platform? I'm kind of intrigued by this.
No, we don't pay. We don't pay to be on any platforms. You just get a percentage of the monetization, percentage of the commercials that plays on Tubi. Roku, from what I understand, when they take season 3 of Classic All Star Wrestling, they're basically going to say, "Here's what we'll offer you for season 3." So I don't know if we would get the commercial money on top of that. I just know that in December they're supposed to make an offer for season 3. So I don't know if that'll
Who
be
decides that? You, your dad? Who decides whether to go to Roku? Is there somebody else involved right now? Is Jarrett still involved?
No. So the only thing that Jarrett's involved in is if we wanted to interview him again, and then he gets paid a percentage of anything that he's ever been on, because that was in his contract. Like, if you're gonna put me on camera, I want a percentage of whatever the commercial money is based on the videos that I'm in. So that's it. I don't really communicate with him very much anymore at all. The decision to go to Roku was just the media company, the Stream Go Media, kind of reached out to them to see if they'd take any of our titles. And they're really, really, really backed up. Like, there's stuff that we sent them in March that has never appeared on the Roku channel yet, because they've got thousands of people. So they have thousands of videos, they have hundreds of thousands of videos probably. They have to watch to make sure there's no cussing on them. What are they going to rate them? Do the closed captioning? Do all of that. So some of those things have just been sitting there. Tubi's gotten them done pretty fast because they're really big on wrestling right now. They're going to try to start a whole wrestling section on Tubi. So Roku, I would say Classic All Star Wrestling gets financed for season 3 before any of our stuff ever gets on the Roku channel. But Stream Go Media made the connection.
But who decides on your end? Is that you or your dad or all of you, or?
Both of us. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty much a no-brainer as far as wanting to be on the Roku channel. You know, it's Roku, and then obviously the Roku channel is going to get more advertising than any other channel on Roku. So
now, how do you own, or how do you have rights to a lot of the stuff that you have? You mentioned classic wrestling, obviously, some of the old stuff. How does that all work?
So if you were a tape trader back in the day, there was a company called PM Films, and they used to advertise in the wrestling magazines. So you could write in, paid $5-10, and PM Films stood for Pedro Martinez. He was an old promoter in Buffalo, and then he tried to go national in 1975 with Eddie Einhorn. So Pedro at that point wasn't running, and his son was, Ronnie. But you could send like $5-10 in, and he would send you this catalog that had, tape number 1, and tape number 1 through tape 40 might all be Southwest, and tape 41 to 60 might all be Detroit, and so forth and so on. So you could read through his catalog and just send in what you wanted to order, and he would send you VHS tapes of it'd just be the whole show. So my dad every once in a while would buy something from him, just to get some new classic wrestling to watch. And over time, they kind of became acquaintances, talked on the phone a few times. And my dad just made an offer to him one day and said, "Hey, you're, in your 70s and you're still on VHS and everything's with a DVD." He didn't even know how to get his stuff transferred to DVD. So my dad just made an offer. That was in 2009 or 2010. He made an offer on it. We met in North Carolina and bought it. Anything, some stuff though we don't own. Some stuff we lease. Portland gets leased through Barry Owens, Don Owens' son. The Hawaii stuff gets leased through Lars Anderson. That's our Hawaii stuff. Polynesian Pro was only like for the 2 years that he was the booker there.
So did you buy those from Pedro and then still have to lease them, or you just leased them?
No, the stuff we bought from Pedro we own, but Portland, Barry Owens owns, and Hawaii, Lars Anderson owns, so we leased them.
So they never sold their library, so they just leased it out to you to put on this other stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Southwest, who was that? Wasn't that the Fullers? Who was Southwest?
Southwest is the Blanchards.
Is who?
Joe Blanchard.
No, Southwest was the Funks, wasn't it?
No, Southwest was San Antonio. The Funks was Western. The Funks was Western States Sports.
Yeah, and they was out all the way. God, they were a long way. Well, Texas was so goddamn big. Because they had Fritz, they had Joe Blanchard, they had the Funks. Then they had the Houston wrestling with Paul Bosch too. So they had all that in Texas. You could just work in Texas. That's like Tennessee. You could work for Nick. You could work for Jared. You could work for Fuller when he was in Knoxville, and you never leave Tennessee your whole career. That's like on the West Coast. You could go to Vancouver and Portland, go down to San Francisco, and then go down to Mike LaBelle, and then do vacation in Hawaii and work there too. And you never leave the Pacific. You know.
It's awesome.
Right.
But Pedro then owned these libraries?
Say that one more time.
But the Pedro dude owned like Detroit? Did he own Detroit from?
No, so he was kind of ahead of his time, really, in the fact that when the Sheik went out of business, he was just like, "Hey, let me buy your tapes."
Oh, so he did. So he owned, but that's what I'm saying. He owned that.
Yeah. He owned he ended up buying the tapes from people as they were going out of business.
Oh,
yeah.
God. I always wondered how you guys got that's wild, man.
Yeah, he was really ahead of his time in the fact that these guys would go out of business. He's just like, let me buy your tapes from him. So he just collected this huge, massive stuff. They made a lot of money with that in the 90s. Before ESPN had the Classics channel, before ESPN Classics.
Yep.
Well, I can't remember what that show was. The Classic Sport. I think it was just called the Classic Sports Channel. And that stuff used to play on there. So they made loads of money in the 90s playing that classic stuff on there commercial wise, because that filled up a lot of time. You know, from midnight to 6, it might just be all wrestling. And then he'd do a few hours in a day with that stuff. So he had the foresight to see ahead of what Peacock is now, you know, with classic wrestling and the current day stuff.
Man, that's pretty wild.
You know, what's the thing about the Peacock network, or whatever you call it now, is WWE controls all that, right? Or Peacock does, or whoever the hell it is. But when you put it on there, you see how the atmosphere was completely different. And today's atmosphere is a fucking rib and it's bullshit. Compared
to they've taken off when they sold all that to NBC, a ton of the classic stuff got taken off of it.
Oh, did it?
They've mainly they went from probably having 200, 300 hours of classic wrestling territories, Mid-South, or whoever, to that's probably down to like 100, maybe 50 hours now.
You think for that reason? I mean, what's the point of owning those libraries if you're not going to use them?
That's kind of my point. But there's stuff that they've bought they've never used. Well, they don't. I don't think they really understand. Like they admitted when they sold to NBC, Stephanie McMahon said in the article, "We know nothing about streaming. We're not a streaming company."
Yeah.
So I just don't think they understand it. You know, they bought Carlos Colon's library for like $350,000, and they only like 90 hours of it was any good. Most of it there was a hurricane there about 5 years ago, and most of the hurricane destroyed most of the tapes. But he didn't. So he kind of screwed him. Like kind of just like
he sold him bad tapes.
Yeah, sold him all bad tapes. Only like 90 hours of it worked. And they paid like $350,000 for that library. Pretty wild.
Wow, that's awesome. So when you guys were doing the stuff with Rip, when you would go, I think you would go to OVW, and you would do the replays of the ICW and break down. When that ICW you guys were kind of breaking down. So do you guys own the ICW library?
Yes. Yeah.
So you actually bought it from like the Poffos, or
no? That was sold to Pedro as well.
Oh, so the Poffo sold to Pedro, and then you bought it from Pedro.
Yeah.
So I always wondered that too. I wondered how you guys had access to that library when you guys. Now, is that stuff still out? When you and Rip were.
Some of it is on Wrestling Legends Network. There's about 8 episodes that we did that are on there. But we just have so much stuff still getting added on there, and they put a whole bunch of new stuff up first. Now some of the older stuff we did is going back up on the app. All those will be up there eventually. What we also did was we got a whole bunch more masters ran off and just came out with a 5. That's not out yet. It's a 5 DVD set. Volume 2 is on Wrestling Legends Network. You can watch it. It's the best of ICW. Some of the stuff that's on there hasn't been seen since the day it aired, because it never was mastered. It was never taken off the 3/4. Randy Savage elbow dropping Wee Willie's part of it. There's a couple cage matches with Crusher Broomfield and Savage that have never been seen. There's a couple matches with Garvin and Savage that have never been seen. There's a lot of really, really good stuff from ICW. Some house show clips that have never been seen in 40 years. So when it comes out, it'll go to DVD first, and then it'll go to stream, just because you can't get it anywhere else. So if you want it, you're going to buy the DVD.
See, we had a whole lot of house show content because we first started producing at Channel 62, which became 36. Then we switched over to 27. But what happened, we was on 36. They brought a new big station director in, and he doubled our fucking rates.
Yeah.
We did our promos there every week. So Miser said, fuck you, motherfucker. We went over to 27, where it was the UK network for the UK Wildcats, and we got it on over there. But Randy just bought our own fucking cameras, had the fucking editing shit in our goddamn house, and I'd be up all night putting the tape in for each hour. But then it had there'd be Tony Falk on the camera, and we was sort of like the USA Network on the ICW. Well, here's a match from Johnson City, Tennessee. Here's a match from Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Here's a match from Springfield, Illinois. Here's a match from Memphis, Tennessee. It looked like we were fucking everywhere. Yeah. And what it was cheap ass fucking programming with that good house show atmosphere instead of the studio stuff. So it was totally different. Oh, shoot.
Just lost you.
There you are.
Oh, lost you again.
Oh,
there you are. So have you guys ever been approached or tried to approach like WWE to buy your stuff?
I think 5 or 6 years ago that had been they briefly reached out to just see if we would be interested. But we're not now, and we weren't then necessarily really interested just for the fact that it's just going to sit on the shelf. They're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah. Is there any more out there that you know of? Is there any more independent or territory libraries that are out there that WWE doesn't own, or do you know of any floating around that you guys are looking away? I guess there's a whole lot of people that watch our show. So if there's something that you're targeting, you might not want to say it on here because then, everybody else in the world is going to be out there trying to buy that library. So be careful what you say here.
Well,
good time show we got going on here.
One of them, we had kind of reached out to see if they'd be interested. 2 of them, actually. And the money that they wanted, both of them, is just absolute insanity. So unless you've got a multimillionaire on watching this, then I can understand. The Montreal territory, which Gino Brito owns all the tapes for that. His dad, which Rip may have met, I don't know. Jack Brito was he was the midget promoter in Canada.
Jack Britton?
For years. Yeah. Sky Lolo. Yeah, all those guys came through there. So Gino Brito ended up with all those Montreal tapes. So that anyone came through Montreal, but he just wants an absurd amount of money. Bob Belushi's daughter, Bob Belushi, ran Chicago for years. And that's all the AWA guys that ever came through Chicago.
We're trying to run a show here.
Busy here at the Parsons household.
Yeah. It sounds like a real phone. You guys still have like a real house phone?
Yeah, we still.
Oh my God!
School. They don't have a.
Wow. Here we got a guy that's putting out all this content, streaming all these old wrestling on all these different things that we don't understand, and he has a house phone. I mean, what the hell?
That's the hotline from Mocha Skin.
The what's his name? The
Top Gun
hotline right there,
Top
baby.
Gun hotline.
That's it. You can call it. It's 1-800 number.
1-800.
But no, the other one is Bob Belushi. I talked to Bob Belushi's daughter on and off for probably 3 weeks and kind of explained everything we do. She was all excited about it. She was all pumped up. And she said, you know what? I'm going to talk to my brothers and sisters. There's like 6 of them. And then I'll be able to make an offer for you tomorrow. So she talks to all of them. And the next day she calls me about 10 o'clock at night. They've been talking, I guess, all through that day too. She said, well, they all thought I should call an old wrestler. And the only old wrestler I know is Jimmy Valiant. And I called him, and he said it'd be at least worth $6 million. I said, well, that's great. But Jimmy Valiant's never done anything with streaming or TV in his life. So
have Jimmy Valiant pay you $6 million then, I guess.
Yeah, no thanks. So those would be the 2 that I would, off the top of my head, I would like to have. Now, there's some out there. Houston, Bruce Tharp, when he was president of the NWA, he kind of released all that stuff, and he put it on a website where it was real easy to download it off of there. So if you type in Houston Wrestling on YouTube, all of that stuff comes up. So I'm not really interested in using that because if it's on YouTube, everyone's already seen it, which some of our stuff has been on YouTube through the years. But we've got a lot of it cleaned up and got it taken off. But that would be another one just for the fact that Houston was another one of those territories that had anyone who was anyone came through Houston, you know. Hell, Rip Rogers went through Houston. That's all you need to know right there.
Yeah. So speaking of, how did your dad and Rip know each other back in the day, or how did you guys start kind of working with Rip here later on when you did the ICW stuff and all that kind of stuff?
They briefly met one time for like 30 seconds. He went down to go talk to Angelo Poffo. He said Rip would just like walk in the room, said hey, and walk out of the room. He was had no shirt on, mid-thigh shorts, and was eating a cantaloupe with a spoon out of the cantaloupe.
Big cantaloupe eater, huh, Rip?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Rip loves his cantaloupe.
You can get a cantaloupe for like $1 then.
Easy on his teeth.
Yeah, now I get it
on his tooth.
Singular.
So then how did that come back into play then? Like when you guys were doing the ICW stuff, you reached out to him or
yeah, just wanting to do the ICW show. We wanted a guy from that territory, and we just wanted Rip just from listening to his shoot interviews and interviews with Pat McAfee.
So what did you think of Rip when you met him? Like you guys now seem to talk probably quite a bit. At the time, you'd probably never talked to him at all. Give us some impressions of Rip when you guys hooked up.
When he was once the camera got rolling, he turned into Rip. But when we first met him, he was kind of just slightly professional and not Rip. But then once the camera came on,
Rip was on his best behavior.
Well, I was normal, like that was me being normal.
Yeah, but you're not typically even normal. I mean, sometimes, but
you gotta fucking turn it on, you know.
Yeah, but you're not even normal. You're not really normal, I don't think.
No, because I'm a fucking freak. Yeah.
Maybe to him, he's been around stuff before, so I wouldn't ever really say Rip's normal. I see where you're probably coming from, but Rip and normal are two things that don't typically go hand in hand. So
I was an former altar boy, you know.
See, Luke was telling me in the car yesterday. I picked him up in the airport. He was telling me Rip Rogers stories the whole way.
The gimmick.
The gimmick is what they used to call him. He said Rip
really?
walked in when Rip first got to Portland. What was that, 79?
Yeah.
He said they told him to go see Luke and Butch. So he goes into the room and sees him, and Luke takes one look at him, looks over Butch, and said, "Who's this fucking gimmick?"
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they said you were always. They'd all go out to eat. You'd order a water. You wouldn't eat, and then you just eat whatever was left off everybody else's plate.
Oh, I think he's exaggerating that.
Okay.
But when we would sleep, when Buddy Rose would get the big suite, I'd sleep out in the fucking car, and them guys would get in the room, so I could just fucking do it.
And you'd sleep in the car?
Yeah. Then I'd wake up and laugh. I say, I made it. Didn't spend no money.
So when you guys run these shows now, how often do you run shows that you don't book me on anymore? Like how often are you guys doing shows?
We've really just focused on classic, you know, doing the streaming and the classic wrestling just because once Roku reached out, Tubi reached out.
No, I'm talking about when you do live shows. Okay.
We've just kind of taken a break because of that.
I got you. Okay.
Tubi wants a current day wrestling show.
Oh, okay.
So we're in the works of talking with them about that, but we wanted to get this off the ground with a classic wrestling to generate some numbers for them to look at, because that was a lot easier to do than go put a show together and deal with wrestlers and booking a venue and doing all that. The tapes are here at my house.
Yeah,
so
you've already got it. Yeah.
To just go ahead and do that, and it's already filmed, and get it cut up, sent together, and give it to them to get some numbers so they can kind of look at what wrestling would do on Tubi.
So that's still a possibility in the future, though, to run more shows.
Yeah.
So what was this show last night? Was that
with either one of you?
Yeah, I get it. That's all right. I come in and beat him up one time and never get booked again. I understand, you know. I think really why we didn't get booked again is because Rip didn't go out and watch any of the matches. They paid you to go. You didn't do anything. You never left the locker room. You never even watched. You didn't watch one match.
You're a lying motherfucker.
Am I lying?
Yes, you're.
So you just didn't go to my match?
That was probably it. Yeah.
Oh, well, you weren't down there for.
Well, he didn't watch it, and Remmer was taking a shit right in the middle of it.
Yeah, he came down with the camera to take a picture. You sent me that video. You're the one that sent me the video. Speaking of, why have I not seen this match? Where can I watch this match at that me and you had? Or me and Top Gun had. I mean, not you.
I haven't even put that show together.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. That means a lot to me.
I had to sit through that match with the referee and that one little guy, or whatever. I had to watch that son of a bitch out there.
Well, you should have came later. You should have came out there later.
I watched that shit and said, God damn.
Hey, I even gave like all or half of your trans back. I didn't even take the trans. That should be worth something. I mean, shit.
What are you looking at me for?
I think you fucked all this up, Rip.
Oh, yeah, I fucked it up. Okay.
It's awesome. So anyway, yeah, I'd like to see that match sometime. You know, if you could ever get that to me, it'd be awesome. I'm sure it was one of the greatest ever.
Hey, when you work
at the best in many, many months.
Best in many, many months.
Pull his mask off. Show who Top Gun is.
Yeah, this is Top Gun right here, everybody. Top Gun, Top Gun, Top Gun.
Take a picture. We're going to expose it on the internet.
Yeah, that's right. So you're 26 years old, prime of life. What's your wrestling future? Is it more streaming and doing all that stuff with the network? Are you looking to make it to like an AEW, WWE? What's your ultimate goal in wrestling?
I wouldn't want to go wrestle for either one. I mean, if it was offered on the table, would I take it? Yes, I think anybody would. What I really want to do is be able to create a semi-regular promotion that runs 3 or 4 days a week. I think I just have more fun promoting. I mean, I would still wrestle.
But you put yourself over still, yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't even ready.
I have more fun, I think, promoting and coming up with finishes and storylines and and angles and all of that than I do being a full-time wrestler.
Yeah. What do you? So I see on like Facebook and stuff. You're coaching. You're a football coach, right? You teach as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, I'm glad you could sit down and do this interview with us instead of just walk around the house and move the camera around every 5 seconds. And it's like watching a WWE match with all those different camera angles they shoot back and forth. I'm glad you could sit down for 40 minutes and talk with us, man. I really appreciate it. So go on.
No problem.
What are you a teacher as well, or just a coach, or what are you doing? What's your
both teacher and coach? I'm a social studies major. But last year there was no gym teacher at a local middle school, so I was a gym teacher last year, which is fun as hell. This year I'll probably go back to social studies. I'm just kind of still waiting to see what vacancies they have in the county, because teachers are pretty hard to get in this area. So it's you can kind of take your pick of what you want to teach. And then I usually coach offensive, defensive line, but this year I'm coaching running backs and defensive line.
Were you a running back? No. I was a teacher for 22 years, man. Good for you.
That's why your hair looks like that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. I quit about 3 years ago. Had to get out, but I put my time in. 22 years. I just don't like kids. I think that could be a problem, So
it took you 22 years to figure that out.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and you had 2 of your own, and then you said, you know what, I don't like these anymore.
That's right. So I got out, but what's the football team? Maybe me and Rip will start following this football team this year and talk about them on the show. What school are you at?
It is Parkersburg South High School.
And then we can blame the running back coach every time you guys lose.
Yeah,
a good plan, doesn't it?
Well, he was coach of the year when he had that great team. In what was your old school's name?
Christian County.
What was it?
Christian County in Hopkinsville.
Were you coach of the year?
In Hoptown.
No, we were horrible. It was one of the worst worst football team I've ever been on. We were horrible.
That's awesome.
They were reels of cotton, rotten.
Yeah, because he was the coach. Hey, we got like 1 minute to go on this deal. 1 minute and 12 seconds. Anything else you want to plug? I mean, we got your Wrestling's Legend Network, Tubi, Plex, Fight TV. You're on all the top channels, all the top stars, Classic All-Star Wrestling. What else you got, man? I mean, you got everything going on here.
No, I mean, you pretty much covered it.
You're going to kayfabe that he's Top Gun?
Top Gun?
Yeah, I'm not Top Gun.
Which one of the Outrunners is your favorite?
I guess probably Randy.
Randy, ooh, Shiloh's going to be pissed, man. I'm going to make sure I put that out on Facebook and Twitter.
Well, actually, probably Shiloh. At least he sells.
Who's going to win, Pat McAfee or Baron Corbin? They are in SummerSlam this weekend, yeah.
When are they going to the UK and doing that big?
I don't know. We got like 20 seconds, and this thing will just cut off.
Right.
Pat McAfee or Baron Corbin?
Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee. I think Baron
It's like
Corbin kicks his
It's
ass.
like
I think
it's like a ticking time bomb. This thing.
I think he shuts him up once and for all. That's my prediction.
Nothing's gonna shut Pat up.
Yeah, big gold and a billfold, so swole that I can't get the shit closed. So I money fold and rubber band wrap, and when it pop, bitches sound like a hand clap.